Okay, class, how we doing today? It's a beautiful day. Thought I would go outside here and do a little kind of walk around, review, little demo of the Miller Trailblazer 325 gas-powered generator that we have. This is a pretty slick machine. I know some of you have had the opportunity to run it. Those of you that haven't, make sure here in the near future that you do, because it is a really fun machine to run. This is a 325 amp machine, DC machine that is capable of welding many different processes. We have it on the kind of extreme terrain cart, I guess Miller would call it, and it is a machine that is equipped with 100-foot leads on it, so you could go and weld a long ways away. This machine is considered, well, I mean, you can get it in a diesel, gas, propane. This machine happens to be or carbureted or EFI. This is an EFI, electronic fuel injection, which makes it really nice. There's so many things that we can do here. You can see on the control selector panel, we can do a lot of different things. This machine is set up for if we're going to use it for stick, like we have been using it for primarily. It actually has the 7018, okay, and the 6010 option. What's really neat is when you're operating this machine, if you are on one or the other, you can independently adjust the values, so you get it dialed in to where you want it. And if you go from 10 to 18, nothing is going to change unless you change it. We can also do carbon arc gouging. We can do, TIG. We can do any type of DC work here. Lift arc TIG, scratch start TIG. Of course, our just plain stick. And then over on the side in blue here, these would be all of our wire processes. We don't have a suitcase wire feeder for this machine right now. I do plan on getting one. We don't have one right now, but if we did, we could run any one of these processes: flex core, solid wire. If you have a gas process, something that needs shielding gas, you got to be careful outside. But what I would like to do is get the suitcase wire feeder to do self-shielded flex core, which is very common. So moving over to a couple other things, got a fuel gauge right here. Once we turn it on, got a selector to adjust things. I'm going to fire this thing up here, but just wanted to go over some things. Got a USB port right here. A lot of things you could do with that. This machine actually has a lot of digital cool stuff in it. The operator's manual is pretty thick. You would think it's not that high-tech of a machine, but it really is. Maybe you want to charge your cell phone or something right here, you can do that. This machine is also a generator, so it's got peak output of 12,000 watts, which is pretty high. Down here you can see where you would hook the machine up. You got your positive. This is for the generator part, 240 volt. If you want it to run 240 power, 120 power, lots of outlets. A couple different negative inputs here. This one is for the wire, if you're running a wire process. Okay, this is where we're hooked up right here for TIG, stick, and gouging. Before I start the machine up, just a couple things. General maintenance of this machine. Gas, of course, you got your gas tank right here. Holds 12 gallons, holds a lot of gas, and this thing is pretty darn efficient on gas. It will run for a long time. Okay, if we open up this cover here, basic daily maintenance, checking the oil. Okay, so here's your dipstick. Check the oil every so often. Don't run it out of oil. It's got a little user guide set up for how you set up your positive and negative terminals depending on what you're doing. And let's come back down here, and we'll start this thing up. So you've got a couple different things here. We've got a run position, we've got an auto speed, and of course when we go to start, we're going to start it. If we come back to auto speed, this machine is it's really only going to run the RPMs that it needs to, which is going to stay at idle quite often. If we go up to run, that's kind of where we're forcing it to rev at a higher RPM. Okay, it's not going to come down on idle. It's not going to be the most fuel efficient up there. But this, I usually keep it on this auto speed, because this machine could be running a lot of power requirements. It could be running, multiple welders. Quite often, they'll actually hook in other welders that are not portable to this. So this machine is not only providing its a power source for welding, but it's also powering other machines. But you're going to see when we weld with it, it's really slick. A lot of the older machines that I've used that are portable welders, when you start them up, they rev up and then they kind of come down. But then once you strike an arc, it's like you get a hot start. You get a big surge of amperage, and a lot of times you'll burn a hole through whatever you're doing. But this machine is not like that. I have found it to be very, very sensitive, and it doesn't rev up like that. So anyways, let's go ahead and fire this thing up. So once we do that, we can see some cool lights start flashing. But we're gonna go ahead and turn this thing over, and just kind of like turning a car. So let's see what happens here. Okay, so we got it running. For some reason it looks like it's flashing, but it's really not. That's my phone doing that. Over here we're on 7018. I can flip that up to 6010. Notice when I flip this here, well, it says SMAW, either 6010 or 7018, depending on where I'm at. And this is how I change my amperage right here. Pretty straightforward. You can go in and adjust. There's so many things that can be adjusted. This does have the arc control, dig option on it as well. But it's kind of hard to show with my camera here because everything's kind of flashing. So what we're gonna do is just kind of run a couple beads here. I have some, okay, down here you can see kind of a comparison. I'm gonna try and run some 1/4 inch 7018. This is 3/32 7018 next to it, so you get a kind of a pretty good idea. This 1/4 inch rod is some pretty mammoth rod. We're going to go up, we'll try and run that on 325 amps. Sometimes that's a little bit low, but we'll see if it'll do it. I'm just going to do a kind of a little square butt joint here, 1/2 inch plate. We're just going to run a bead, see what it looks like. So let's get the helmet on and get things hooked up and try it out. Okay, we're all set up here. Got our 1/4 inch 7018. Go ahead and run out square butt joint. Okay, now we're just going to run just a T-joint with some 1/8 inch 7018. I've got the machine set on 130 amps. Welding machine, probably the smoothest machine that we have right now, even compared to all of our standard color machines, not even affordable. Okay, just taking a look here at their final beads, just kind of for a comparison. You can see the large 1/4 inch diameter 7018 butt weld that we did, square groove there, compared to the 1/8 inch 7018. You know, difference here, 325 amps on that 1/4 inch 7018 and 130 on the 1/8 inch. Just much more deposition with that larger electrode. The only thing is that 1/4 inch is pretty much limited to the flat position. It's very difficult to maintain a puddle that is that fluid out of position. Yeah, very impressive machine here. So hopefully you get a chance to run this machine soon. Thanks, take care, have a good day.